Have you ever wondered why God introduced himself with such a mysterious name? I am. It wasn't just a name. It was a declaration. A statement so powerful that time itself trembles at its meaning. When Moses asked for God's name, he expected something familiar. But what he heard shook the foundations of everything he knew. What does I am really mean? Why didn't God use a common name? And what hidden truth about your life could this ancient phrase hold? Desert winds howl as the sun sets over Mount Horeb. Moses, now an aging shepherd, leads his flock through the rugged wilderness. He notices something unusual, a bush engulfed in flames yet not consumed by the fire. His curiosity pulls him closer. As he steps near, a commanding voice calls out, "Moses! Moses!" Startled, he answers, "Here I am. Do not come any closer. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." Trembling, Moses obeys. He knows this is no ordinary encounter. The voice declares, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Moses hides his face in fear, unable to gaze at the holy sight. Then God speaks of his people's suffering in Egypt and commands Moses to deliver them. Stunned by the impossible task, Moses protests, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh?" God reassures him, "I will be with you." But Moses isn't convinced. He knows Pharaoh's power and his own weaknesses. Desperate for clarity, he asks, "Suppose I go to the Israelites and say, 'The God of your ancestors has sent me,' and they ask me, 'What is his name?' What shall I tell them?" The air seems to still as God speaks words that echo through eternity. "I am who I am. Tell them I am has sent you." This answer is unlike anything Moses has ever heard. There's no lineage or title, just existence. The Hebrew phrase Ahia, Asher Ahia, is a declaration of being. It means I will be what I will be. God's name isn't bound by time, space, or circumstance. He is eternal, self-existent, and unchanging. In that moment, Moses realizes that this name is not just a label, it's a promise. I am means God is everything his people will ever need. The name I am reminds us that God is present in every moment of our lives. Are you afraid of what the future holds? I am is already there. Feeling lost or inadequate? I am is your guide and strength. When you face challenges that seem too big, remember, the same God who spoke to Moses still speaks today. His name isn't just history, it's a living reality. He doesn't say I was or I will be. He says I am. Right here. Right now. Forever. When God revealed his name as I am to Moses, he wasn't just giving a name but a divine reality. I am signifies God's eternal presence. He exists outside of time, he has no beginning or end. This profound truth means that God is always present, no matter where or when we find ourselves. In a world where change is constant, knowing that God is unchanging provides stability and peace. Consider Moses' situation. He was exiled from Egypt, living a quiet life as a shepherd, likely thinking his purpose had ended. Yet God appeared to him and declared, "I am who I am." This wasn't just a statement of identity, it was a promise. God was telling Moses, "I am with you now, as I was with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." God's presence transcends generations. How does this apply to your life today? When you feel alone, abandoned, or uncertain about the future, I am reminds you that God is already in your tomorrow. He sees what you cannot, and he works behind the scenes even when you feel forgotten. The psalmist writes, "God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble," Psalm 46 verse 1. Just as he was present with Moses at the burning bush, he is with you in your challenges, doubts, and fears. His presence is unshakable and eternal. The next time you face uncertainty, pause and remember I am. Declare that God is already in control of your future. Pray with confidence, trusting that the God who has always been is still actively involved in your life today. His eternal presence is your foundation in an ever-changing world. When God called himself I am, he was declaring that he is everything his people will ever need. Notice that he didn't specify what he is, leaving it open-ended. This means God is sufficient in every situation, provider, protector, healer, comforter, and more. Whatever you lack, He is. Consider how Moses must have felt when tasked with confronting Pharaoh, the most powerful ruler of his time. Moses feared that he wasn't eloquent or capable enough. But God didn't reassure Moses by listing his qualifications. Instead, he said, "I am who I am." Essentially, God was saying, it's not about who you are, it's about who I am. Life often presents us with impossible situations, financial struggles, broken relationships, health challenges, or overwhelming responsibilities. In these moments, it's easy to feel inadequate, like Moses did. But I am reminds us that God's sufficiency fills every gap we experience. In the New Testament, Jesus reinforced this truth when he declared, "I am the bread of life," John 6 verse 35, and "I am the good shepherd," John 10 verse 11. Each statement reflected God's sufficiency for every spiritual and physical need. When you feel lacking or overwhelmed, remember that I am is your sufficiency. Pray, asking God to be exactly what you need in that moment. Trust that He has all the resources, strength, and wisdom you require. Shift your focus from what you lack to who He is, and experience His fullness even in the midst of difficulty. When Moses encountered God at the burning bush, he was overwhelmed with fear and doubt. He questioned his worth, asking, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh?" His self-doubt nearly paralyzed him. But God's response was not a reassurance of Moses' skills or leadership abilities. Instead, God declared, "I am who I am." God's answer redirected Moses' focus from his own inadequacies to God's all-sufficiency. It was as if God was saying, "It's not about who you are, but who I am." Moses didn't need to be powerful, eloquent, or influential because God's presence would accomplish the task. How often do we feel unqualified when facing something God calls us to do? It might be leading a project, speaking up in difficult conversations, starting a ministry, or supporting someone in need. Our first reaction can be self-doubt, "I'm not smart enough, strong enough, or equipped enough." But God's call comes with His empowerment. "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," Philippians 4 verse 13. The same God who empowered Moses empowers us today. When He calls you, He equips you, regardless of how impossible the task appears. When you sense God calling you to step into a new challenge, don't focus on your weaknesses. Remember that I am is with you, equipping you for the task. Pray for courage and trust in His power. Step out in obedience, knowing His strength will cover your shortcomings. His call comes with His presence, and that is more than enough. The name I Am is more than a title, it's a living reality. It's a reminder that God is everything you will ever need, your provider, protector, healer, and guide. When you feel uncertain, weak, or afraid, remember that God's power is not limited by your circumstances. He is present right here, right now, working all things for your good. So, what about you? Where in your life do you need to trust one Am today? Are you facing a challenge that feels impossible? Do you feel inadequate for something God is calling you to do? We invite you to take a step of faith today. Surrender your fears, doubts, and insecurities to I Am and trust Him to be exactly what you need. Let His presence fill the gaps you cannot handle on your own. If this message inspired you, subscribe to our channel, Scriptures in Pictures TV, where we bring Bible stories to life through powerful animations and faith-filled lessons. Don't forget to like this video if it encouraged you. Share it with someone who needs a reminder of God's presence. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new story from the Bible. Join the journey. Let's walk together through the incredible stories of the Bible, stories that inspire faith, ignite hope, and reveal God's love in fresh, unforgettable ways. Remember, He is not just I was or I will be. He is I Am. See you next time on Scriptures in Pictures TV.